Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video here we successfully complete our student list, all that option, and also we successfully complete our search option, right? So now we can search with the air, you can search with the classes, and after that if you search, then our search result is visible, right? So right now friend, I want to edit it. That means if you want to edit this student, how can edit it? In this video I will show you that things with a live example. So for doing this here, you have to remember one thing. I have already added this portion in our view. Into the view, there is actually the two table, right? So one is our default one, and another is when you actually search with our any year, with the any classes, and after that if you search, then you can see that is actually another table is loaded, right? So that means we have to update both of this edit portion. So if you want to do that work, first of all, we have to add one of the route. That means one of the route URL in our edit page. So that is in our view page, right? So now if you go to our view, that means in our student table folder, and there is a student registration, and there is our student view, right? So into the student view, first of all, as I told you, they have the two table we have to update. So you can see that is actually our one table, and into the one table, that is our edit button, right? And here we have to edit it with a specific which one. We have to edit it with by the ID, and our ID will be, if you go to our assign student, into the assign student, that will be our student ID, right? Because with this student ID, I have already added that our foreign key with our user table, and also it's now connected with our student table. And if you go to our add page, I mean just go to add page, and into the add page here you can see friend, when we insert this data, so you insert this data with three different table. We insert some of the data from our into our user table, we insert some of the data to our another discount table, and also year, classes, group, every data we insert in our this assign table, right? So that means that is actually our main assign table. We need our discount table. From here we have to get this data, and also from our user we have to get this data if you want to update. So that is the things. Now we have to create another relationship between three of this table, and then we have to get this data, right? I hope the concept is very much clear to you. So right now, first of all, I want to update it. That means here that will be one of the route. I want to put on the route, that will be as a route, and I want to put on the route whatever you actually choose. So right now I use it as a student. Okay, student, and then registration. Okay, student registration, and then edit. And also, as I told you, we have to edit it by the ID. So if you want to access our assign table, that means the assign student table. So here I have already get this data, and right now I am already into the for loop. So into the for loop with this value. Okay, so with this value I want to access our ID. Our ID, as I told you, it will be our this assign table, this ID, right? So that is our student ID. So now I make it as a student underscore ID. I hope it's very much clear to you, friend, right? So now we have to update it with a specific our this ID. First of all, you have to edit it. That means you have to get this data. So right now we have to create this URL route. Now go to our web route, and here I better copy it and I paste it. So obviously that will be as a get method, and then I have created that relation. I have created that relation for this route. And as I told you, here we have to update this route in our edit page. They have the two table, right? That is our one table. So now I copy it. And also you can see there is our another table. So when you search any data, then our this table is loaded rather than our default table will be loaded. And now there is actually another one. So make that sure you updated both of these places. Okay. So here, perfect. So now that will be our route. I copy it, and then that will be actually as a student registration edit, and better I name it as a registration edit. Okay. That will be our URL. And that is our prefix as a student's registration edit. And now in our student registration controller, I want to create one of the method that will be as a student registration edit. Okay, so this type of one of the method I want to create. I copy it. Now go to our student registration controller. So here there is a student registration controller, and after this, okay, after this I want to add new one that will be as a public, and then function, and then our method. That is our method. And also here one things, we have to edit it with a specific this ID, right? That is our student ID. So make that sure you add this ID. So after that registration edit, here also you have to add this ID. Okay, so that is our student ID. So now we have to also add it. I copy it. So into the method area, here I want to pass our this student ID. Okay, and this into the edit portion, as I told you, here will be needed some of the file that will be just like our that is our function, that will be actually needed also same. Okay, and that will be just same, only we have to add some of the condition, but I copy it. Okay, I copy it, and then that means our student registration add, I copy it, and after this here I paste it. Okay, so that will be, I want to get all the data from our year table, I want to get all the data from our classes table, group table, and the shift table, because every data will be needed, right? So also after that I want to take another one. I take another one as a data, and then that will be, I just take one of the variable name. So I think you already know always for the edit I am using one of the variable as edit data. So this type of one of the variable I want to take, and then our table name. So right now for our student registration I have already created one of the table. So right now our table name as a assign student, right? So that is our assign student table name. So I copy it. So now with this assign student I want to do and to put on the condition where our ID, and as I told you, our ID will be what? Our ID will be in our assign table, that is to assign student table, that is our ID, right? So this ID will be matched with our requested ID. So now that is our student underscore ID, that means this type is student underscore ID, that means in our assign student table, that is actually our field as student ID. So this field data will be matched with our this requested ID, right? That will be our this requested student ID. Perfect. When it should be matched, then I want to do and to get our first data. Because of all here I want to add that edit portion, and for the edit, as I told you before, we have to get that specific one row data, right? So if you want to get that specific one row data, you have to make it as a first. So I name it as a, I want to get that first data. Perfect. And after that, that will be the return view into the backend, into the student, in our student registration. Here I want to create one of the page as a student edit. Okay, student edit, this type of one of the page I want to create. But here one things, as I told you, when you insert this our student registration, all the data we insert it with 3 different table, right? But right now I am only getting one data from our assign student table. You can say I get that first data. Right now I want to show you, everything will be very clear to you, don't worry. So I want to check it with the DD, and with the DD and in our data table. So here if you want to check it with the 2 array, okay, I add that 2 array. So if you check it with this DD array, now I show you what exactly the result I get. I click the save all. Now if you go your site, now click at the refresh, and like that is actually one of the post. Okay, if you now click as the edit, what exactly that means? Now you can see it's now perfectly getting all the data field, from our which table. It's only getting all the data field only our this assign student table, right? But if you want to edit this student, so here also you have to get some of the data from our discount table. Into the discount table, our discount field will be needed, and also we have to get some of the data from our user table, right? So also here we have to create that relation. Okay, we have to create that relation with our user. Also we have to create that relation with our discount. So friend, here if you want to get this data, then we can actually do that work very easily with function. So if you go to our assign student table, I have already created one of the relation. Maybe you can see with this student method, I have already created one of the relation with our user table. You can see that is our assign table student ID. That means there is actually our assigned student table. This student ID is matching with our user table this ID, right? So here I have already created that relation and I name it as the student method, right? So now I copy it here with the another function as width. So now I want to use that as width. Okay, width function, and to the width function I want to visible our method name. So our method name, I have already created that relation with our user method. So that with our user table, so I named that method name as a student method. So that will be our student. Okay friends, so now if you click as a save all, so now everything will be very clear to you. Now if you click as a refresh, yes, you can see now actually that is our student. And into the student, if you now go, you can see it's now perfectly getting all the data from our user table. Okay, so here is perfectly getting all the data. So also they have the another will be needed, another table will be needed, that is our discount student. And into the discount student, they have the little bit change, like here if you go in our assign student table, this ID will be matched with our discount table, this assign student ID. Okay, so there have the little bit change that is actually our another foreign key. So in our assign student, our this ID is a student ID, that means this student ID is matching with our user table ID. And here in our assign student table, this ID will be matched with our discount student and this assign student ID, right? So only here we have to reverse this condition. Okay, so also we have to create another relation. I show you now. If you go to our again our model, that means in our assign student table model, better I copy it and I paste it. Here I want to create another method that will be as a discount. Okay, I name it as a discount, and into the discount that will be belongs to with our another model. So I have already created that another model for our discount student, that will be that will be actually our this discount student, right? So now I copy it, and here I want to create that relation with our this discount student. Okay, so into the discount student, as I told you, it will be I have to just simply reverse this same condition. We have to just simply reverse it. That means our assign student table ID, it will be matched with our discount student table. In the discount student table, that is actually our assign student ID, right? Perfect. So now I only want to update this part, that will be as a assign underscore student underscore ID. So make that sure your spelling is correct. That is our assign, okay, ASSIGN student ID, assign underscore student underscore ID. Perfect. Okay friends, so that's all you have to do. So now we can actually also get this our data from our discount student table. So that is our method, right? So now I also want to add this in our width function. So into the width function, that is our student, right? So after this I take another one, after this here I take another one, and that will be our discount. Okay, so that will be our discount. Perfect. Now if you click as a save all, and now if you go there, click as a refresh, yes, you can see friend. So with this student, I get that all data from our user table, and also with this discount method, I get all the data from our which table, that is our discount table, right? Perfect. I hope it's very much clear to you friends. So now you can see that is I get all the data from our assign student, and with this student I get all the data from our user, and with this discount I get all the data from our discount table. Perfect. Okay, so right now we are able to display all the data in our edit page. Okay, so now step by step we have to do that work. So that means our condition is now perfect. So now we have to create this student edit page in our student, and then student registration folder. So I copy it, and in our student registration I create another new file, and now I click as a save as, and I name it as a student edit.blade.php. Okay, so that will be our file. So right now I want to do from our student registration add. Okay, so from here I copy total things, and then in our student edit here I paste it. So now we have to customize it. That will be as a edit. Okay, that will be as a edit student. So now if you click as a save all, and right now I want to check it, and also I want to put some of the note for you, so that will help you. So now let's check this out. If you click as a save all, and now I just click the refresh. So now you can see our page is loaded. That means our EDT student page is now successfully loaded. So now we have to actually display all that our 21 ID, all the data. So some data will be loaded from our user table, some data will be loaded from our discount table, and also some data will be loaded from our assign student table, right? So how can display it? That means we have to display it with the value. So how can do that work? In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.